After more years than I care to remember splitting wood manually, a friend of mine had this log splitter here. We made a trade on it, and so I brought it home. Now, he said the last time he used it, it was running. He just couldn't remember when was the last time he used it. Let's just take a little walk around it. He's got a pretty new motor on it. I wiped it off a little bit, cleaned it up on the outside, made it look a little better. It is a Dürer vertical log processor. Has a 20-ton cylinder on it here, and my buddy told me that two things that he knew of that he hated to even sell it or get shed of it. Said it had a little something going on in the hydraulics. I'll have to check that, and not sure about the motor. But part of the reason why I bought it, he had a spare motor and a spare hydraulic pump. So my thinking is surely out of two motors and two hydraulic pumps, we ought to be able to get this thing to go. Now, let me preface what I'm about to do here today, or going to try, is that I am in no way any kind of a mechanic. Small engine, big engine. I mean, I know how to set a mousetrap. That's about my mechanic skills and stuff, you know what I'm saying? But I have stayed at a Holiday Inn Express, so maybe that's going to be worth for something. So anyway, I'm going to dive into this motor first, see if I can get this thing cranking. Now, how do I know it won't crank? Well, I can turn the fuel on, turn it to the start position, turn that to the on position, and I could pull it till I'm blue in the face, which I have done, and it won't crank. So let's dive into it and see if we can figure out what's going on. Now, virtually everything that I'll do is because I've seen somebody else do it. And the first thing I'm going to check right here, for right or wrong, could be wrong, and fortunately, there are some folks that have subscribed and watched to the channel. You guys know who you are. And if I don't get it to running, you will give me the advice I'm sure that I need. What I'm going to do here is just see if we've got spark. Let me bring you in here so you can verify with me. All right, I hope you can see that. Can you see that? So we got fire. I reckon that's a pretty good thing. I do know it won't crank without fire. I'm gonna put this spark plug back in here. So now that we know we got fire, I think you would suggest to me we move on to fuel. Now, I can already tell you this fuel smells rotten. I'm gonna take this bowl off, see if we can get this thing drained out. Go. Well, that's dirty. That's got a little dirt in it. I guess I need to take this little cover off here. We got a whole bunch of it. Come in here and take a look. Well, if you can see, maybe it won't hurt it. We'll try it anyway. Okay, put some fresh gas in it, mist it, and pretend that we're gonna get something. Let's see if we got anything. Ah. What about that? It started. I'm gonna let that oil get a little bit warm. You think this is a good idea? Let that oil get a little bit warm. I'm gonna change the oil if it runs. Anybody got any suggestions? So it will crank, but you bring the throttle up and it dies. Little bit of, you know, giving it a try. There we go. Yeah, I believe it was time. I don't remember exactly where I was yesterday afternoon, but I do know I had to pull off the log splitter here. We had to get I don't guess we had to, but we got a new dishwasher, and the young man that came out to install it, the installation was basically free, so I thought, why not? Well, when he came out to install it, I was sitting there in the chair and he said, sir, I got a problem. I said, oh no, what's that? He said, blah, blah, this, that, now. And so anyway, he had the drain line hooked up, had the power hooked up, had the dishwasher installed, everything leveled up and good. But the supply line, he said, I don't have the fitting that I needed. Well, at my house, I had this cutoff going to the supply line for the dishwasher. Well, he didn't have a fitting to fit this in. And so the kids started working on it, and I broke the pipe. Well, I had the water on, which I shouldn't have done. And so the kitchen started flooding real quick, real quick. Got the main disconnect cut off, mopped up water, had to go to the box store, got the fittings that I needed, had to get that fixed. So anyway, that took the rest of the afternoon. But as you probably, if you've watched me so far on this repair here, you come to the conclusion that I think I've come to, that we must have a jet or something in the carburetor. So first thing this morning, pull the carburetor off. I'm gonna try to clean it. Try, that's the operative word. I'm gonna try to clean it, try to put it back on the way it's supposed to be, and see if we got things going. If we don't, I got the backup motor. Actually, I could pull the carburetor off of that, but I'm gonna go for this, see if we can clean it out, put it back on. And I know you've been thinking that, and that's what your suggestion. How do you say, subliminally, you've been sending to me the messages, Steve, that's what you got to do. So anyway, let's get to that.
All right.
Alrighty. Well, let's go stick it back on and see what we got. I think everything is back as it's supposed to be, but I can't swear to it, but I believe it is. Well, got the fuel on. Got it in the on position. Got it in the start position. I don't know, guys. Should crank, I think. So we're running and smoking. But if I try to take the choke back off, it will die. And the throttle seems to have no effect. If I try to take this choke off, oh, I know what happened. I forgot to connect the throttle cable. Give me a minute. How dumb. That's okay. I'm probably not the first person in the universe who ever put one of these back on without connecting the throttle cable. If you've ever done it, you can make me feel a whole lot better if you will write on the front porch down there. Some people call it the comment section. Tell me that you've done it. I sure would feel a whole lot better. But the thing is, we at least got a motor that's making some noise. So that noise you hear in the background is a log splitter running. I couldn't film it all because I was getting too frustrated. But I took the carburetor back off, sprayed out all of them little bitty holes again with some carburetor cleaner, put some pressurized air on it, cleaned all that back out, put it back together, pulled it, and it cranked. And the throttle, I was able to turn it up. I'm hoping now, it's sounding pretty good. It should be able let's just give it something easy to start with. Tell you what, a non-mechanic like me, you get something running, you're afraid to cut it off. I had to do it. I had to cut it off to see if it'd crank back. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. That's what we want right there. Well, I ain't gonna kid you. I'm a happy camper. I mean, seriously, to have to go through that carburetor 2 times and it will split wood. But the second time, I guess I should have done it the first time, but the second time I went through with that carburetor cleaner and I sprayed everything that even looked like a needle valve or a hole or just everything, and sprayed her down, blew some air through it, put her back on. I really thought I was going to have to back up and pump, maybe order a carburetor or something. By George, she, and I've wiped it off a little bit and looks a little bit cleaner. But unless I'm steering wrong now, when I turn that on, it's still warm, so it probably fire right off. And I can turn the throttle up. There you go. Now, I fully realize, watching you guys up in Canada and the northern parts of the lower 48, this is nothing for you guys, because y'all got to have log splitters. I mean, it's a part of your daily routine and coming in the wintertime, or weekly routine or something, to run my shop, keep it warm. And then I got a little apartment up here. People come and stay from time to time, and I heat it with wood, and it's just a blessing. And I've never owned a log splitter, except, whatever hammer I could swing. But this is going to be a great addition, because this little old wood stove I got, the opening's not very big, and to be able to split them logs down to pieces, that's just a great thing. So, I mean, I'm not going to go into production. We're not talking about splitting wood to be selling or anything, but just to be able to do that and to have this thing, I'm just tickled to death. Hey, I appreciate you joining with me on this journey. And, really, a lot of what I did is because of the advice that you've given me in previous sessions and from other places. But I appreciate it. And listen, I'll see you in the next one, Lord willing.